If this is you, after trying to get services from the state of Connecticut for an adult with an intellectual or developmental disability, I know how you feel. Hi, I'm Tom Fiorentino, president of the ARC of Connecticut. Welcome to our podcast. We're calling it The State We're In. I wanted to do these podcasts because I wanted to get information out to you to help you respond to something that you're probably going to hear. I know I've heard it. Could be from a well-intentioned state rep or state senator, and these are good people who have inherited a really bad system that needs to change, but you might hear from them, we wish we could help, but we can't. It's the new fiscal reality. You're going to be able to point to specific things that the state of Connecticut is funding now and say, really? Because you're funding this incredibly inefficient program, how can you do that and tell me there's no money for my child, for my brother, for my sister? So in these podcasts, we're going to look at what we're doing today and what we can do better in the future so we can create more services that are more inclusive for more people more efficiently. Tonight, we're going to look at, or today, depending on when you're watching, we're going to look at the Southbury Training School Fire Department. Southbury is an institution. Last year it had 220 people, and it has a full-time fire department of 10, a chief and 9 firefighters. Together, those 10 employees made, without benefits, over $1.34 million. $572,000 of that was overtime. We're going to look at one particular firefighter without mentioning names because we're not trying to embarrass anybody. This person made $76,000 in their regular salary and wages, but $87,000 in overtime for a total of over $167,000 without benefits. When you look at the ratios, when you look at the costs, and I put up some comparative data from the town of West Hartford just to give us a little context, it's too much. Governor Malloy thought it was too much and last year proposed the elimination of the Southbury Fire Department to save $1.6 million in each of the 2 fiscal years. And I remember when I heard that, it was like the first 60-degree day in Connecticut after one of our long winters. But like the weather around here, the next day you fall down the steps because they're covered with ice. The fire department is back in the budget. The fire department is funded. In the face of waiting lists, in the face of unmet, frequently dire need, the state is funding something that by consensus we agreed we don't need. When you do that, there are consequences. The governor has proposed for the first time in our memory a $1 million cut in 2018 and $4 million in 2019 from emergency placement funds. An emergency in Connecticut is when someone is at imminent risk and needs services immediately. So, someone, for example, whose last caregiver, last parent has died and they are alone in the world. That's where the state is going to cut or has proposed cutting. Not the fire department, where there was a firefighter for every 22 residents, and there was $572,000 in overtime despite that ratio. No, instead, the governor has proposed cutting from the most vulnerable of the vulnerable. I just don't think that the people of the state of Connecticut agree with that. I don't think our elected leaders agree with that, but they need to hear from you. Please share this podcast and go to the ARC of Connecticut website. You'll see something there that's called Action Center. When you click on it, there's a drop down and there'll be something called Information and Alerts, and it will get you information in real time about what is going on, and as important, in real time, what you can do about it. So I want to thank you for joining me. There are more podcasts to come.